Have you ever noticed something very interesting about life? We spend years trying to change our job, our income, our status, our relationships, but we rarely pause and ask one simple question: am I becoming a better human being? Because the truth is, life doesn't improve when circumstances improve. Life improves when you improve. Today, I want to share 3 simple life lessons. They are not complicated. They don't require talent, money, or luck. But if you truly apply them, they can quietly transform your life, starting today. Have you ever paused for a moment and honestly asked yourself, or am I living life, or am I just managing it? Most people wake up, rush through the day, complete responsibilities, and go to bed tired, not because life is hard, but because the mind is restless. We keep thinking that when circumstances change, life will feel better. When the job improves, when people understand us, when problems reduce, then peace will come. But life teaches us something very quietly. Peace does not come from outside, it grows from within. One of the most important lessons life teaches us is awareness. Many times we don't realize what is happening inside us. Anger appears, stress appears, frustration appears, and we immediately blame the situation or the person in front of us. But if you look closely, situations don't control us. They only trigger what is already inside. Awareness is like turning on the light in a dark room. The moment light comes, darkness disappears on its own. When we observe our thoughts instead of becoming them, we gain freedom. And freedom is not doing whatever you want. Freedom is choosing how you respond. Which brings us to another powerful lesson: reactions decide directions. 2 people can face the same difficulty. One becomes negative, bitter, and exhausted. The other becomes calm, mature, and wiser. The difference is not intelligence or luck. The difference is response. Life will always test us through people and situations. We cannot control that. But we can always control how much power we give them over our inner peace. Calmness is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Sometimes stepping back is the strongest step forward. When emotions are in control, wisdom disappears. When calmness is present, clarity naturally arrives. The 3rd lesson is about daily discipline. We often wait for motivation, but motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. A small positive action done every day shapes your mindset, your character, and eventually your destiny. You don't need a dramatic transformation. Life doesn't change in one day. It changes through small choices repeated consistently. Speaking a little more kindly, listening a little more patiently, controlling one negative habit, building one good routine. These small steps quietly build a strong foundation. And when the foundation is strong, storms don't destroy you. At the end of life, success will not be measured by how busy you were or how many achievements you collected. It will be measured by how peaceful you were, how grounded you stayed, and how positively you touched lives around you. So don't wait for life to become perfect. Start becoming better. Because when you grow internally, life automatically starts aligning externally. And that is when real change begins. Let me ask you something very honestly. When was the last time you truly sat with yourself without a phone, without noise, without distractions, and just observed your own mind? Most of us are so busy fixing life on the outside that we forget to understand what is happening on the inside. And because of that, we keep repeating the same mistakes, the same reactions, and the same frustrations, expecting different results. Life does not trouble us as much as our interpretation of life does. 2 people can walk through the same storm. One comes out broken, the other comes out stronger. The storm was the same, but the inner strength was different. Real growth begins when we stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" Every situation carries a lesson, but only a calm mind can read it clearly. Most of our suffering comes from unconscious reactions. Someone says something and we lose our peace. Something doesn't go our way and we lose our balance. But think about this: if your happiness depends on people behaving the way you want, then your happiness is never in your control. When you learn to pause before reacting, you create space for wisdom. That pause is powerful. In that moment, you are no longer a slave to emotions, you become the master of your response. And mastery over the self is the greatest victory a person can achieve. Another quiet truth of life is that motivation is temporary, but discipline is transformational. We often wait to feel inspired before we act, but inspiration follows action, not the other way around. A small habit practiced daily has more power than a big plan discussed occasionally. Consistency builds character, and character builds destiny. Even a tiny improvement made every day compounds into massive change over time. Growth doesn't announce itself loudly, it happens silently. Relationships are also powerful teachers. People will test your patience, challenge your ego, and expose your weaknesses. But instead of seeing this as a problem, see it as training. Life sends us the right people to teach us the right lessons. Sometimes the lesson is forgiveness. Sometimes it is boundaries. Sometimes it is humility. And sometimes it is self-respect. When we learn from relationships instead of reacting to them, we evolve. In the end, life is not about collecting achievements, it is about cultivating inner peace. You may achieve many things, but if you lose yourself in the process, the victory feels empty. True success is being calm in chaos, content in simplicity, and grounded in uncertainty. So don't rush life, slow down your mind, improve a little every day, respond with awareness. And remember, when you change the way you see life, life changes the way it sees you. Sometimes we believe that happiness is waiting for us somewhere in the future. When things settle down, when responsibilities reduce, when people start understanding us, then life will feel peaceful. But life rarely slows down. Problems change their form. Responsibilities change their shape, but challenges never really leave. The real question is not when life will become easy, but whether we are becoming strong, balanced, and aware enough to handle it. Many times we try to control everything around us, people, situations, outcomes. And when control slips, frustration enters. But life was never meant to be controlled, it was meant to be understood. The moment we stop fighting reality and start accepting it, a strange calm enters the heart. Acceptance does not mean weakness or giving up. It simply means understanding what is in our control and what is not. When this clarity comes, energy stops getting wasted on unnecessary stress. A powerful shift happens when we start observing ourselves honestly. Notice how quickly the mind jumps to judgment, comparison, or complaint. Someone is doing better than us, and suddenly dissatisfaction appears. Something small goes wrong, and irritation takes over the entire day. Awareness breaks this pattern. When you watch your thoughts instead of following them, they slowly lose their grip. A calm mind sees solutions where an agitated mind sees only problems. Life constantly teaches us through delays, disappointments, and detours. What looks like a setback often protects us from something worse. What feels like rejection sometimes redirects us to a better path. But understanding this requires patience. Impatience makes us question life. Patience helps us trust it. And trust does not come from blind belief, it comes from experience. When you look back, you realize that many things you once prayed for, you are now grateful did not happen. Another lesson life teaches quietly is the power of daily discipline. Big change rarely comes from dramatic moments, it comes from small, repeated actions. The way you speak to people, the way you start your morning, the way you handle discomfort, these tiny choices shape who you become. Discipline is not punishment, it is self-respect. It is choosing long-term peace over short-term comfort. And every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Relationships too play a huge role in our growth. People will not always meet our expectations, and that is where maturity is tested. Instead of trying to change everyone, learn to manage your reactions. Instead of carrying resentment, learn to set healthy boundaries. Forgiveness is not about the other person, it is about freeing your own heart from unnecessary weight. Light hearts move faster in life. In the end, life is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be present, aware, and sincere in your efforts. When you stop chasing happiness and start building inner stability, happiness follows naturally. Growth is not loud, but it is powerful. And when you grow from within, life outside slowly begins to reflect that change. Life often feels like a long list of responsibilities. From the moment we wake up, the mind starts planning, worrying, comparing, and rushing. Somewhere in between achieving goals and meeting expectations, we forget to simply be. And because of this, even after doing so much, we still feel empty at times. The problem is not lack of success. The problem is lack of inner connection. Many people believe that peace will come once everything falls into place. But life never really settles. There is always another challenge, another demand, another expectation. Waiting for a perfect moment to feel peaceful is like waiting for the ocean to become still. Instead of waiting for life to slow down, we must learn how to slow down within life. A calm mind does not mean absence of problems, it means presence of clarity. One of the biggest reasons we suffer is because we give too much importance to what others think. A small comment stays in our mind for days. Someone's opinion starts defining our self-worth. But think about this, everyone sees life through their own experiences, fears, and conditioning. When we depend on external validation, we hand over control of our happiness to people who may not even understand us. True confidence comes when your self-value is not decided by external approval but by internal awareness. Another quiet truth is that comparison steals joy. The moment we compare our journey with someone else's, dissatisfaction enters. Everyone has a different starting point, different struggles, and different lessons to learn. Life is not a competition, it is a classroom. When you focus on improving yourself instead of comparing yourself, progress feels peaceful rather than stressful. Growth becomes natural, not forced. Challenges are not punishments, they are preparations. Life trains us through difficulties so that we can handle greater responsibilities with maturity. If everything came easily, we would never develop patience, resilience, or humility. The strongest people are not those who never fall, but those who rise with understanding instead of bitterness. Every challenge is asking one simple question: will you react or will you respond? Daily habits quietly shape destiny. What you think repeatedly, you become. What you practice consistently, you master. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. Even a small positive shift, waking up with gratitude, controlling one negative reaction, being mindful in conversations, creates a ripple effect. Over time, these small ripples become powerful waves of change. In the end, life is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about evolving into a calmer, kinder, wiser version of yourself. When you stop chasing peace and start practicing it, life begins to feel lighter. And that is when you realize true success is not found in achievements alone, but in inner balance that stays with you through every season of life. Most of us move through life on autopilot. We wake up, rush through the day, handle responsibilities, scroll through our phones, and sleep, only to repeat the same cycle again. In the middle of this routine, we slowly disconnect from ourselves. We become efficient but not peaceful, successful but not fulfilled. And then one day, we wonder why life feels heavy even when nothing is technically wrong. Life becomes lighter the moment we begin to live consciously. Conscious living does not mean escaping responsibilities. It means carrying them with awareness. When the mind is constantly jumping between the past and the future, it gets tired. Peace exists only in the present moment, but the mind rarely stays there. The practice of gently bringing the mind back again and again creates stability, and stability is the foundation of happiness. A major reason for inner disturbance is attachment to outcomes. We put our happiness on conditions. If this works out, I'll be happy. If that person changes, I'll be peaceful. But life does not function according to our conditions. When expectations are high and acceptance is low, stress naturally increases. Acceptance does not mean settling for less. It means understanding that not everything is in our control. When effort is sincere and attachment is low, the heart remains calm regardless of results. Another important lesson life teaches us is patience. We live in a world that celebrates speed, but real growth takes time. Seeds don't become trees overnight. When progress feels slow, we often doubt ourselves or give up. But slow progress is still progress. Every experience, especially difficult ones, is shaping us in ways we cannot see immediately. Trusting the process is not easy, but it is necessary. Impatience creates anxiety. Patience builds strength. People play a powerful role in our journey. Some encourage us, some challenge us, and some teach us boundaries. Not everyone is meant to stay forever, but everyone comes with a lesson. Holding on to resentment only drains energy. Forgiveness is not forgetting what happened, it is choosing peace over prolonged pain. When the heart is light, life flows smoothly. Small daily practices have the power to transform our inner world. The way we speak to ourselves matters. Self-criticism weakens the mind, while self-compassion strengthens it. Being disciplined with habits, mindful with words, and grateful for simple things builds emotional resilience. You don't need dramatic change, you need consistent alignment. In the end, life is not asking us to become extraordinary overnight. It is asking us to become more aware, more patient, and more kind, especially towards ourselves. When inner growth becomes the priority, outer success becomes meaningful. And that is when life stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like a journey worth enjoying. Life has a very subtle way of teaching us lessons, but most of the time we are too busy to notice them. We keep moving from one goal to another, believing that once we reach the next milestone, everything will feel complete. But completion rarely comes from achievement alone. Many people achieve what they once dreamed of and still feel unsettled inside. That feeling is not failure. It is a reminder that life is not only about doing more, but about understanding more. One of the most important things we learn with time is that happiness cannot be borrowed from circumstances. It is created through inner stability. When the mind is constantly disturbed by fear, comparison, or expectation, even good situations feel heavy. But when the mind is calm, even difficult phases become manageable. Calmness is not something that appears suddenly. It is cultivated through awareness. The moment you notice your thoughts, instead of getting carried away by them, you take the first step towards emotional maturity. We often think that people or situations steal our peace. But peace is not something that can be taken away. It is something we give away through unconscious reactions. A careless word, an unexpected delay, a broken expectation, these things happen to everyone. What differs is how we respond. When we react impulsively, we increase suffering. When we respond thoughtfully, we reduce it. Life always gives us a choice, but only a calm mind can see it clearly. Another powerful lesson life teaches is the value of simplicity. We complicate life by wanting too much, too fast, and from too many people. Contentment does not mean lack of ambition. It means knowing when enough is enough. When desires are endless, peace becomes unreachable. But when gratitude enters the heart, even small things feel fulfilling. Gratitude shifts focus from what is missing to what is already present, and that shift changes everything. Growth is not always comfortable. Sometimes it comes through failure, sometimes through rejection, and sometimes through loneliness. But every experience is shaping us. What feels like a breakdown often becomes a breakthrough in hindsight. Life removes certain things not to punish us, but to protect us or prepare us for something better. Trusting this process requires patience and faith in the journey, even when clarity is missing. Discipline plays a quiet but powerful role in transformation. Small daily practices, waking up on time, speaking kindly, managing anger, staying consistent build inner strength. Discipline is not about strictness, it is about care. It is the ability to choose long-term peace over short-term pleasure. When you become disciplined with your actions, the mind becomes disciplined automatically. In the end, life is not asking you to rush, compete, or prove anything. It is asking you to grow gently, steadily, and consciously. When awareness becomes your companion, challenges become teachers. And when you focus on inner growth, life outside begins to align naturally. That is when living stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a meaningful journey. As life moves forward, it quietly reminds us of something very important. Speed is not the same as direction. Many people are busy every single day, yet they feel stuck. They are moving, but not necessarily growing. And this happens because we focus so much on doing that we forget the importance of being. Being aware, being present, being aligned with what truly matters. The mind has a habit of running ahead into the future or replaying the past. It worries about what might happen and regrets what has already happened. But peace exists only in the present moment. When the mind learns to stay here even briefly, it begins to heal. Presence does not remove problems, but it reduces the noise around them. And when noise reduces, clarity naturally appears. One of the biggest obstacles to inner peace is expectation. We expect people to behave a certain way, life to follow our plans, and efforts to produce immediate results. When expectations are not met, disappointment follows. But disappointment is not caused by life, it is caused by attachment to a specific outcome. When we give our best effort and release excessive attachment to results, the heart stays lighter. Letting go is not losing control, it is gaining freedom. Life also teaches us through resistance. Things don't always go smoothly, and that resistance is not an enemy. It is training. Muscles grow through resistance, not comfort. In the same way, emotional strength develops through challenges. When difficulties arrive, instead of asking, "Why me?" try asking, "What is this strengthening within me?" That shift in perspective transforms struggle into growth. Another subtle lesson is about self-talk. The way we speak to ourselves silently shapes our confidence and resilience. If the inner voice is constantly critical, the mind becomes weak. But when the inner voice is supportive and patient, the mind becomes strong. Encouragement does not make you lazy, it makes you consistent. Treat yourself the way you would treat someone you deeply care about. Daily discipline creates stability in uncertain times. You don't need dramatic changes to feel better. Simple routines, mindful breathing, gratitude, controlled reactions, honest effort create emotional balance. Discipline is not restriction, it is protection. It protects your energy, your focus, and your peace. People come into our lives with lessons, not guarantees. Some teach us love, some teach us patience, and some teach us boundaries. Holding on to resentment only keeps us tied to the past. Forgiveness is not saying what happened was right. It is saying your peace is more important. When you release emotional baggage, you create space for peace. In the end, life is not about reaching a destination and stopping. It is about evolving at every step. When awareness guides your actions and patience supports your journey, life feels less heavy. Growth becomes graceful. And slowly, you realize that the most meaningful progress is not seen by the world, but felt deeply within. Let me leave you with this thought. At the end of life, you won't be remembered for how busy you were or how much you earned. You'll be remembered for how you made people feel and who you became inside. So today, don't ask, how can life be easier? Ask, how can I be better? Because when you change from within, everything around you begins to change automatically. Thank you, and remember, the best investment you'll ever make is in yourself.